Welcome in, fans, to another episode of the Two Line Pass podcast. The Fanley Cup series continues. I'm Randon. Here with me, as always, is Dustin, and we're bringing you your favorite on Twitter, Brian Bolnick. He is a Mammoth faithful, very active on Twitter. If you haven't followed him yet, you absolutely need to be doing so. We're very excited to welcome him into the studio. Brian, how you doing tonight?
I am doing great, guys. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
The pleasure is all ours. We are excited to sit down and talk with you about how you've experienced the Utah Hockey Club inaugural season. So let's just start, because just in case we have any listeners who don't know you, why don't you just give us a little brief background and introduction of yourself?
Yeah, happy to. So, Brian Bolnick, as you mentioned, I'm just at Brian Bolnick on Twitter. Currently in Utah. I grew up in Denver, so big Avs fan, currently recovering Avalanche fan, so I have since moved on. But yeah, hockey has just been ingrained in my life ever since I was a young kid. I've played since I was probably 6 or 7, just been a huge diehard fan, watched all the seasons, been to tons of games. Super, super excited once the new club got announced in Utah. Instantly became a season ticket holder and plan on holding that out as long as I possibly can. Yeah, just a big fan of the sport, both from the player and the fan perspective, and diehard fan of the Mammoth, which also very happy that we finally have a name and an identity, which is great. Yeah, that's me.
Hey, well, we are excited to talk to you and get to know you a little bit better. I love to see what you've got. I really enjoyed. We'll get more into it about your breakdown of the prospects coming up in the draft. But you mentioned being from Colorado and growing up in Denver, that your love of the Avalanche is deeply ingrained in you. Did you find it difficult to transfer over to become an all-in Utah Hockey Club fan, or was it once we got the team, you were like, I'll still have my heart with Colorado at times, but I'm all in on Utah? Was that a difficult process for you?
Oh, it absolutely was. And I mean, ask anybody who knows me. It's been just tearing me apart up until recently. And I don't know exactly what it was that like really was kind of the last straw for me being able to, officially move away. Maybe it was the fact that they kind of pooped out in round one of the final series here just a week or two ago. But yeah, man, it's been tough. I've been an Avalanche fan for probably 30 years. Grew up going to games, meeting players, all the things that you just dream of as a kid. And my high school team out here, we even had the same Avalanche jerseys. So it's something that, yeah, has really been a part of my life growing up, and was not an easy thing to let that go once the team came here. Obviously, I was probably one of the most excited people in the entire state once we had a team come, because there's nothing like having an NHL team in your actual location. So yeah, that was huge for me. I kind of felt like the parent who had like 2 kids playing for different teams when I would watch the two play, which sucked, because it's like, even when I was at the game, the Avs had scored, and I'd be like, no, that's, maybe, I don't know, right? And it's like, you don't know how to feel, you don't know how to react to the situations, and so yeah, it was really hard, but I've finally taken it upon myself to leave the past in the past. I now have lived in Utah longer than I had in Colorado. I just don't have any excuse. So still a big Kel McCarr fan. Love Nathan McKinnon. The team is kind of moving away anyway, but yeah, I'm all on the Mammoth train now.
That's the way to be, and we welcome you. And you're one of the conductors of the train, and very, very active on Twitter. And I think you were one of the first to fully adopt the Mammoth name. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But were you always on Team Mammoth leading up to when they first announced the names, or what did you want the name to be from the start? And obviously, you're happy with the result.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've pretty much been a forever Mammotheer. Honestly, it was one of those things where I don't really care what the name is. I'm just happy that there's a team. There's obviously ones I don't like, but yeah, I'm super happy with Mammoth. Yeti, I kind of liked when I first heard it. It felt a little gimmicky to me, but just hearing the assumptions that were being made of that kind of being the team name, it like really grew on me. And so when we found out that it was no longer an option, I was kind of hurt inside, because I was like, oh man, that stinks. And just because I got used to it. But yeah, I mean, once they announced the final options, for sure, Mammoth was the clear front runner. I'm not a big Outlaws fan, at least for hockey. I think that'd be sweet for like a baseball team. Hockey club is just too much of a soccer name for me. Yeah, it's not great. And then Wasatch, I mean, I don't even think we need to talk about that. So yeah, I'm super happy. I know there's a lot of like Colorado people that are super pissed about it because of the Colorado Mammoth, which lacrosse and hockey might be like the two closest sports if you were to pick all the sports and put them together, but they're completely different and we're in a different state. And it doesn't matter. Who cares? So I don't know. I love it. And I was also a Mammoth fan in Colorado, and I don't care.
I don't know if you remember any of the names, but there any of the the original 527 names that they gave us to vote on, like Venom or Swarm or Blizzard, that you liked that didn't make the cut?
Didn't like Blizzard. That was one of the ones that I was just like, nah, this isn't Dairy Queen. We don't need that. It's also very close to Avalanche. I feel like that would have been even more of an uproar. Venom, I actually kind of liked. I don't know why. I hate snakes, but it's also like pretty unique. And we're like in a desert, and it's kind of like a mini homage to Arizona, kind of. I don't know. Swarm, I thought like kind of could have been cool if we called like the Delta Center the Hive. I heard that one buzzing around, so that would have been cool. The other one that I was a fan of was the Raptors, just because of the history in Utah, and it's also kind of novel in hockey at least. Yeah, those were probably my favorites.
Now, you mentioned that you've played hockey. We haven't spoken to too many people who've actually had game experience. A few of the fans have started to pick it up. They've taken their kids skating and things like that. And we've been talking about joining a beer league out in Kearns. Do you currently play in Utah, or are you still playing in any rec leagues?
Yeah, hurt my back earlier this year, so I'm taking a season or two off, but I'm still as active as I can be. Definitely not keeping up with a lot of the new guys that are playing now, but yeah, I still play just down in a little league down in Provo with some friends, so it's a good time.
It's just getting out on the ice, whether you're the best or the worst. I think it's just fun to be a part of the game and around the game. And being from Colorado with the team already established, what are some of the differences that you've noticed from like the way fans were in Colorado and how they reacted to the Avalanche, and how the fans of Utah have embraced the Utah Hockey Club this first season?
Yeah, it's interesting. I might get in a little bit of trouble for saying this, but I feel like there was a clear kind of understanding and appreciation for the sport of hockey in Utah compared to anywhere else that's like really familiar with the sport. And I feel like it's more of the like, we go to a hockey game for the fights. We just want to see people brawling each other and hitting each other, and that's what makes a team good. Is you go out with all the biggest guys you can find, and you just start Bash Bros, Hanson Brothers, kind of just taking everybody out. And I experienced that when I went to my first Grizzly game when I first moved here, and I was like, this team isn't very good, and everybody's like super into it, and they're just like bruisers. And so I feel like it's definitely gotten better, but when hockey was first announced, a lot of fans and new fans were like, yeah, we just got to go find the biggest, baddest dudes out there, and that's what's going to get us a cup. And we got to get the Tom Wilsons and the Jamie Benns and like more guys like Liam O'Brien. And I mean, anybody who really knows the sport knows that that's not true. Like, yeah, maybe you have one guy on a team that's like that who can be a hype man, who can go step into the scrums when somebody's getting pushed around, but that's not the games. It's been really cool to see a lot of those fans kind of realize that and start to have a deeper appreciation for the actual technical skill that it takes to play this very, very intense sport. It's not one, obviously, as you guys mentioned, you want to start kind of picking it up and going to learn to play. It's not one you can just grab a ball and go outside in the grass and, pick up and just learn the rules. You've got to learn to skate. You've got to learn to skate backwards. You got to learn how to now control a puck that's sliding everywhere. It's not an easy sport. And so really trying to come to understand that skill level and what it takes for some of these guys who are just so good to be at that level. I mean, you look at guys like, Clayton Keller, Dylan Gunther, so on. It's so cool. And again, just being able to see that appreciation from fans as we've had the team and as the season progressed has been one of the coolest things to see that they're finally coming around and kind of understanding that. That makes sense.
Totally makes sense. We've seen it. I think there was the joke that you hear that's not exclusive to Utah, certainly not. You see it on the internet a lot. The whole, I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out or whatever. I'm still in Dustin's question from you because we mentioned O'Brien and him winning the press conference and things, but has there been a single player to you this season that you have found yourself liking more than the others? Who is your favorite guy on the ice on this Utah Hockey Club roster?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a tough one. I remember trying to think of that same thing when I went to go get my jersey for the first time. I'm like, man, who am I going to pick? And I ended up going with Keller. For one, I think he's just a super fun guy to watch. He's a high player IQ, obviously very talented. But the fact that he's also the first captain in Utah history is kind of what sold me. So, yeah, I love Keller. He's awesome to watch. Gunther and Cooley are probably my next two. Just young, scrappy guys that have such a high ceiling and are hopefully going to be around for a very long time. Gunther obviously already is. Cooley's kind of pending. But yeah, just being able to watch that raw talent and see how it's going to develop over the next 3, 4, 5 years. Those are probably my top guys right now.
There's almost no doubt in anyone's mind that we re-sign Cooley, barring some horrific meltdown of any kind. But do you have any thoughts on what his contract might be? Do you think he gets more or less than $9 million a year when he signs in 2 years when his new contract goes in?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I'm definitely not a numbers guy when it comes to these things. So my opinion probably doesn't go too much. But I think a lot of the rumors I've been seeing have been like around like 8, seeing pretty good. But I honestly don't know too much on that. I'm curious to hear your opinions, where you guys think of that is.
I think I think the reaction to Gunther's contract, where basically it was universally panned as like the greatest steal of all time, that Gunther signed significantly under what his market value would have been. Now that was, obviously before he had the season he had, he'd only played like 40 games for Arizona at that point when he signed it. So in his mind, he probably got a ton of value, but in hindsight, it looks like we robbed him blind. And so I wonder if Cooley is kind of looking at that. And Cooley was not quite a point per player, but he has second most in the team in points. And so I think his agent might look at the Gunther contract and say, hey, you guys skimmed Gunther for, $500,000 or $1 million a year, and I'm not going to let my guy do that. So that's why I'm thinking in the 8.7 to 8.9, maybe even 9 million. And I still think if we get him long term for that, 8 years, I still think it might be an absolute bargain at that 9 million, especially with the cap going up, which will also inflate the numbers of everybody. But if we can lock him in at 9 or below before that cap goes up, that just gives us more and more space for year 3, 4, 5, 6 as this team grows. So.
Yeah, especially long term. I think that's the biggest thing is what's the longest term we can sign him to. Let's shoot for it. And if it's, knocking out another 500K to $1 million plus, I would do it if I was GMBA in a heartbeat, especially with the room that we have.
He's just too important to the team and the identity of the team. And I think the big question coming into the season was he ready to be the number one center? And through his injury and everything, certainly towards the end of the year, I think he's proven that at least of the centers available on this roster, he is the number one among them. And so we'll see what happens in the offseason. There's not too many big, I think, number one centers that we could sign that would replace him. You never know with any trades or anything that might happen. But speaking of trades, so you've broken down on Twitter the draft picks and your assessment of who we might take. Do you think Utah selects at 4? Do you think we make that trade? What are your kind of thoughts coming into the draft with Utah moving up to number 4 overall?
Yeah, I mean, what a crazy lottery. First off, watching Bill Armstrong's face and the reaction to that was priceless. This draft class is interesting, and I do not envy the leadership team of Utah at all, because I think it's going to be a tough choice. I think the way that I broke it down in terms of kind of like my preferences would be to try to trade up to first, if at all possible. Michael Misa is probably the hottest draft guy that's out there right now. From what I've watched, I would probably even put him above like Macklin Celebrini. He just looks like an ultimate beast. And so if there's a way that we can trade some, obviously if we swap picks and trade a couple other things to try to get to that first spot or even second, he might be available there too. I would do that. That would be my kind of golden goose egg, so to say. If that doesn't work out, I was thinking about trying to trade the pick and like a blockbuster style kind of thing, for like another, top 20, top 30 guy that's currently active, a little bit more of a vet. But looking at who's out there right now, I don't know if that's really gonna happen. Now, there's some guys like Tage Thompson, who obviously this is doing really well with Keller right now. There's a lot of chemistry there. Buffalo could be blowing some things up and, want a younger pick. But there's not a lot of movement that could possibly happen with that. So I'm kind of skeptical on that option, which means that the most likely scenario, it would be to keep it. And I think there's likely going to be 3 or 4 guys available at number 4, regardless of who goes 1 through 3. That would be really interesting, and I think would contribute really well to the team. And we can obviously talk about them. I do think what Utah needs right now, our prospect pool is really powerful. We've got the Russians coming over. We've got Tisha Ginla. We've got a bunch of other prospects that are kind of brewing right now. And I don't think that we necessarily need more guys like that unless they're all stars. So if we can trade it for something that's going to help us this season and next to get into the playoffs and beyond, that would be my go-to for sure. But if that's not possible, there's still a couple guys that would be great and that I'm sure will be high contributors at some point.
Now, one thing we've asked everybody, now Randon steals my question, I'm going to steal his right back. Now, we already have the GM hat on. We talk about drafting players. Are there any players out that you think may be available via trade or free agency in the offseason that you'd like to see Utah target?
Obviously, the big name going around right now is Mitch Marner. His contract is expiring. He looks like he's having a bad run in this kind of second series right now, even though he's still as a point per game player in the playoffs. But unless Toronto wins the cup, I have a very hard time seeing them re-sign him. And so I think he's going somewhere. Utah is a very attractive place for him to come. We've got the cap space to pay him what he wants. Whether or not he's worth it, I think, is a different question. But he's probably the highest target I think I would have on my list if it were me. I mentioned Tage Thompson. I don't know what Buffalo's willing to do, but Utah just needs to score, guys. That's the biggest thing. We've got guys who can tee things up between Keller and Cooley, especially. They're huge playmakers. We just need somebody to put the puck in the net. And if we get a guy like Mitch Marner or Thompson or whoever else is out there, I think it would be really what runs us out. Ideally, a first or second center, since we are kind of lacking depth there. But yeah, that's probably where I would be looking. I don't really know, like I said before, if there's anybody else, at least in the free agency, that I'm like super excited about. I think Sam Bennett is probably the next up, but I kind of go back and forth on him.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Bennett as like I like him as a player, but I think he fits like the Florida model and that physical, gritty style that Utah isn't quite there yet, and so I don't know how well he fits into our system. I agree with you there. We can come back to the GM talk in a bit, but let's move back to the fandom, because you are a season ticket holder for the Utah Hockey Club, now the Utah Mammoth, and you have been to Colorado Avalanche games, who've been a premier franchise for well over 2 decades. So from your perspective, kind of that first season and kind of through the lens of an already existing Colorado franchise, what did you think of the overall in-game experience of the Delta Center from kind of the start of the season towards the end of the season, of putting the product for the first year out on the ice?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the franchise did a great job this first year. There were definitely some kinks to kind of iron out. Over the first few months, music was a big issue. Nobody was liking the music that was being played. And then they started obviously, incorporating the fans into the game a little bit more. They're doing like the little activities where they, you guess it's what is it, like the memory and the pick the puck, try to find those kinds of things. And then they're doing sing-alongs and different things like that. So I think they definitely started to find their groove later in the season. It was great. I will admit that the games in Colorado, the environment there was amazing. They did things really well. The fans were super into it. And I know Utah has started to kind of take some of those things, like to have like the Mario power up noise when we finish a power kill, and like just kind of like fun little kind of, yeah, things like that. But I think beyond how they kind of manage it, what really made it for me this season was the fan base. Seeing everybody show up, even packing the obstructed view seats and being as loud and into the game and as emotional as everybody was just, you can't top that, man. I mean, I hope that we keep that up as the years go on, because you go to some games and, for other teams and it's just like, okay. And like even tonight, you've got Toronto and Florida in a playoff game and the stadium clears out because they're just getting smoked. But like even on days when Utah was losing, we still had people there cheering, chanting, sticking around till that final buzzer went off and then some. Yeah, I just hope that the fans continue to show up as they have, and that we really just keep that passion. And that's really what it is for me that makes the environment and the ambiance just magical.
Was there anything that Colorado did in stadium, like entertainment-wise, that you'd like to see Utah do? I hadn't been to an Avalanche game. I've only been to Vegas fans, and of course, everything's got to be a show there. But is there anything you want to see the Delta Center incorporate in these coming seasons?
Yeah, let me try to think about that, because I think I've been to one Avalanche game in the last 15 years since I moved here, so it's been a minute. I know one of the big things that they do is like the sing along. They do all the small things, and everybody gets into that. They've even had Tom DeLonge come and sing it at one of the games with them. So trying to find like not necessarily taking that, but like finding our own thing that we can do as a tradition that everybody looks forward to, whether it's a song, whether it's a chant, whatever the thing is. That's what I would really love to find. And I think the fans are in the best place to create that.
So we've had a couple of season ticket holders come on. Did you have any favorite? So I know that they did a lot of the special events and things, some of the meet and greets for season ticket holders. Did you have any memorable experiences at any of those? Did you get a chance to go to those events? And what was kind of the experience there?
Yeah, I didn't actually get to make it to the meet and greet one that they had. Had a conflict that night and couldn't go, unfortunately. So nothing really as a season ticket holder that was a highlight. I will say we upgraded some tickets to get the Delta Sky Club seats one night, and that one felt very out of place just because of the crowd that we were with, because it's just a bunch of like multi-millionaire, billionaire people in Utah. And anyway, besides that, it was really cool because you're like literally in the little like walkway where the team's playing soccer. You're right up against the glass with the broadcast crew. That was a very cool experience that I would recommend everybody at some point try to do. Reach out to the reps because they can get you way better deals than what is on SeatGeek. As far as the ticket prices go, it's actually not that bad. But yeah, as a season ticket holder, nothing too crazy besides obviously going to the games. But that's something that I would just kind of advocate for, I guess.
As a season ticket holder, did you, I've asked this to, nobody said yes yet, but did you have access to the Toyota Club?
I did not, no. So I did probably upgrade our tickets maybe half the season to Toyota Club seats, just because I went once and got very spoiled, and it was very hard to go back to my Upper Bowl seats afterwards. And I will probably be doing the same thing again this year. It's just too hard to justify that cost as a season ticket holder.
I think if you need to justify it to yourself, like the food that you get over the span of 41 home games, you're going to spend so much on the concessions that paying for the Toyota Club is going to pay for itself in the long run. It's a smart investment move. Delta Center, if you need ticket reps, hit me up. I'm selling this shit. But it pays for itself. So you got to do it and enjoy these soft pretzels. They're the best thing I've ever eaten. Soft pretzel.
Look, I tried making that exact same pitch. Only my wife is an accountant, and she runs the numbers and crunches everything and sees that, $40 of parking you're getting every game, and maybe $50 to $75 a game for food. But it's still an extra $5,000 on top of that. And it just doesn't make sense.
I will give you and the listeners some very, very good, wholesome marriage advice. It is easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. Just do it. Just Shia LaBeouf and just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams and just do it.
I will listen to that advice and decide what to do with it later.
That's what we do at the Two Line Pass. We just spread happiness and improve marriages.
There you go.
Speaking of improving marriages, the marriage of the different situations and events that happened throughout the season. So you were there for most of them, and we need you to pick just one. What was your highlight moment, the best moment of the season? Whether you actually were there to experience it, or whether you saw it on TV or highlights or anything, just the singular one best moment from this season.
You guys are asking all the hard questions tonight. I gotta pick one. Oh, okay. It's either got to be the first game, like opening night against the Blackhawks, which is probably what I'm going to go with, or just like the first day that I saw on Twitter that the team was actually coming and it was official. I'm going to probably go with the opening night game though, just because it was like, it's actually here. And that game was amazing. It's been years since I've been to an NHL game. I flew out to Denver, I think I just mentioned, for one game, in the last decade, and being in that environment again, knowing that we actually have a team that's wearing Utah on their sweater, winning, even though it's against the Blackhawks. I don't know. I don't think anything can top that.
You can say jersey on this podcast. We don't care. We don't
We're
call
all a
it
bunch
the
of
sweater.
Americans.
Yep, we're not Canadians. Get out of here.
I feel like we're all tied into. I know the team name and nothing has to do with bees, but we are the Beehive State. I think everybody's just sort of like hive minding this because we've asked everybody that question, and I believe every single guest has talked about the home opener for the first game, and then also the one that you didn't mention it, but it's been mentioned by just about everybody, was Vejmelka's like coming out party against Carolina, where he stops everything. Just like those are the two that absolutely everybody just seems to be tossing out. That I think it's just, it really shows how important getting this team was to this community, because everyone's like just simply being able to watch NHL hockey in Utah is almost everybody's favorite moment of the season. Just realizing like, okay, this is real. Okay, this isn't just a preseason game anymore. This isn't like two NHL teams coming to play at the Delta Center in the preseason or anything like that. This is actual legitimate NHL hockey, and it's been very fun, I would say.
Completely.
I had a question, and then I was thinking of the veggie, and then I was thinking of trying to shoehorn in a Schmaltz comment about how my favorite moment must have been a Schmaltz moment, of course, but now I can't even think about it. Sticking with the in-game questions and the in-arena questions right now, so now we've got the name, we've got everything else, so now the next big thing, it seems like, is people are turning their attention to the goal song. Now, you'd mentioned that music was a hit-or-miss thing that this team dealt with early in the season, but are you on the side that, which seems few and far between, that like the current goal song, or have you landed on I want this to be the goal song?
It's a no for me. I'm not a fan of the current goal song. I don't know what it is. I've never heard it before until this season. It's not one that you can sing along to when it happens. Like, they put the subtitles up or whatever, the captions. It's like, hey, 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 hey. It's just like, it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't work. So I don't love it. I know there's some guys who have some strong opinions about what to do instead. I don't have one. I wish I did. I'm not a DJ. I think the Wooly Bully song could be kind of fun, maybe for a game or two, but then I think it might get kind of annoying. So that's the biggest thing. It's just got to be something that's like fun every single time. It just brings joy to you whenever you hear it and doesn't get super old.
I've always been a Gary Glitter's Rock and Roll Part 2, just the Hey song. That's what the Grizzlies did. And so that's my knowledge, is just growing up as a Grizzlies fan. So, but that one I think has some social implications now. Curse you, Gary Glitter, for being not a very good human being. But I still like the song. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, or if they they seem to be trying to play with creating their own music. And sometimes it's well done. Sometimes it's not so well done. If they they should use the April 18th, 2020 as a goal song just to troll everybody. That's what they should do. Did you catch that song, Brett? The end of season, like on SEG Media, they had their like end of year song, and it was like the best is yet to come. Did you catch it? Have you heard that song yet?
I think I did. Oh wait, it's the one that they made?
Yeah, it's so it's
Yeah,
this
okay.
because they've
Yeah.
made two, and it's
It
the
sounds very
second
like
where it's
AI
like where he,
generated.
yeah, where he opens.
Yeah,
They
okay.
both sound so AI, and
Yeah.
actually, I like the best is yet to come. I feel has a good hook. It just has a real. Every time he's not singing the chorus, it's awful, horrible, terrible. But the hook is actually not bad. I quite enjoyed it, but getting to that point was difficult.
I'll have to go back and listen to it again. I don't remember it super well, but I'm curious what other candidates have you guys heard of for the goal song, or like what do you feel like it should be?
So Broken Houston posted, what one did he post that now I've got to look it up, generated a lot of buzz. And then one of the other guys, Utah Mammoth, has been putting them all together. And it sounds like everybody is leaning towards is it the Black Eyed Peas, the Pump Up, the one where they just took it's the Hawaii 5-0 theme. And then I want to say it's just called Pump Up because I made a joke about it. The Kunkan Life, the Belgian techno jam, Pump Up the Jam, but that one didn't get any traction. But I am actually in the minority that I don't dislike their current goal song. I love how it flows into the Let's Go Utah, and that to me is what I want a goal song to be. Is I'm focusing on the goal. Now the song's playing in as background music, and then as the hype of the goal is dying down, now I'm starting into the chant that hypes me up for the face off. And that's where I want the flow, that whatever song it is, I want it to get me from the hype of the goal to the face off without skipping a beat. And something like you mentioned about getting everybody to sing along, so it's got to be something that they can sing along. And I felt like the Let's Go Utah, which was a very overused chant overall, but I felt like it fit very nicely in the context of the goal song. So I'm in the minority. I wouldn't mind if they kept it. So, but Dustin, do you have any thoughts on the music?
I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. That is the one thing that I love about our current goal song. Like, it feels sort of generic, but it does flow right into the Let's Go Utah chant. So I like that.
Well, yeah, it's a super valid point. I hadn't really thought about that. I do agree that the Let's Go Utah chant is very overused, and I would love to find other ones. I know we had like Utah, it's like Utah, or whatever, right? A couple of times. Um, yeah, would love to explore other options there as well.
I gotta say, there was so much hype surrounding the first time that they did the Utah chant, and from everything I've gathered, because I wasn't actually there when the first time, but it sounds like it was like organically done, like the crowd themselves just kind of did it. And then I worry that maybe like the Jazz Bear and the sound crew kind of force fed that chant and took away like the organic nature of it. And I always still think like in the back of my mind, like, are BYU fans really going to embrace just a Utah chant? And they may not.
Especially
So,
when people have been
but
doing this at games.
exactly. So there's got to be that balance, and I don't know what if anybody's been kicking around. That's got to be the next discussion point of what chants to incorporate Mammoth, and I just want everybody do the trunk. That's what I'm calling for is get the trunks involved. Can you imagine 16 people imitating Mammoth calls? Like that's going to be scary. That's going to
My ears are
instill
already bleeding
fear.
just thinking about it.
Just try it. Give us an elephant. Give us an elephant, Brian. Do it.
I
Come
don't
on.
know that we know each other. We know each other well enough for me to do that yet in this setting. But no, you're right. Yeah, it was actually during the like welcome party where they introduced the team at the Delta Center for the first time that the chant just started breaking out. And I don't know. I've got a video of it somewhere. Yeah, I'm sure it was a bunch of Utah fans. Uh, Go Utes. And it just kind of picked up, and then we never heard anything else. I'm a Utah fan myself. I graduated from the U, a big football fan, but I am kind of tired of it, and that happened after like maybe second or third game of preseason. So it's time to explore some other options.
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully they find some good ones and don't just reuse, because that's what's going to be. I don't think the fans want to be force fed the cheers. And one of the things that the Utah Hockey Club, and probably because Ryan made his fortune on data analytics, but getting feedback and responding to feedback, I feel like is something this team has really excelled at. And I want to say early in the season, they actually sent out a request for chants, and I never really heard anything about it, and I didn't hear anything new. So I'm wondering if they've just let that cook. But that is one thing. I don't know if it was for season ticket holders. At least when we would buy individual games, we'd always get an email after. They'd always ask for what our favorite things were. Was that feedback loop given to you as a season ticket holder?
Yeah, very frequently after games, throughout the season, at the end of the season, for sure. And I totally agree with you. I would love to hype up our yeah, the management team, the broadcast team, all of those guys. I do think they do a very, very good job at staying connected to the fan base, and I feel like there's many other teams out there that are not like that at all. I don't know how often you see team owners getting on Twitter and like actually interacting with fans and giving away free tickets and asking questions and responding. And like Ryan Smith is so involved in the community and in the day to day of this team, and you can see that those comments actually make it up to them, and they try to adapt and to change and to actually listen to that feedback. I mean, it's one thing to send out a generic survey that everybody gets, but it's another thing to actually go and implement it. And I think that's what really separates this team. And it's great for the fans, but I also think it's great for future players. I mean, you hear of the Utah vibes that is going to be really, really attractive to free agents, to other guys. Like look at Sergachev. I think he was in the news the other day just for saying that Utah's like the best place he's been, and he lived in freaking Florida on the beach. It's awesome. There's nobody else that's taking care of their team the way that Utah is, and I love it. On the chance, so I do remember seeing, at least on Twitter, there was a poll that went out, or yeah, or a form or something to fill out to submit them. And I think my guess is most people are like me, where I like to complain a lot, but I don't like to propose a lot of solutions. So I don't know what the other chance would be are. I just know that I don't like the ones that we have right now. So I'm curious, yeah, what results came from that. But I think it's probably just going to be one of those things that's kind of organic and just happened, like veggie chance, right? Those just kind of came.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I may be misremembering. Like, I feel like it was an official survey, but it may not have been an official survey. But I know there's a few things that haven't quite panned out. I think the way they wanted to, like they were supposed to send like the ultimate fan experience for one of the last away games. I don't think that panned out the way they wanted. Obviously, the YouTube exposing the mammoth didn't quite work out the way we want, but that's growing pains of this first season, right? And it's just like you said, with Ryan Smith as the owner, like it feels really good to, I mean, which also the only thing I can think of when I think about it is like it's just like twisting the knife of Arizona fans, right? Because not only did we get the team, but it's just so much night and day from what they experience. And I think you're there with me that most of our interactions with the Arizona fans have not been the most pleasant. They're not a very gracious fan base, at least the ones that are still active on Twitter that we know about. But have you had any memorable interactions with anybody from Arizona and the Arizona fan base?
Yeah, there's definitely some good guys out there. I'll say that first and foremost. I mean, I think with any fan base of any sport, you're going to have some rotten apples. And unfortunately, they're the guys that are the loudest. And that's just kind of the way that it is. There's probably 5 to 10 Arizona accounts that are just awful. They're just any single like mention of Utah, it's an instant joke on religion, or it's a I wish Ryan Smith would die, or whatever kind of stupid comment they've got. And then they're just there to really stir the pot. But I have interacted with a lot of really, really cool and nice Arizona fans who have followed the team. I mean, even Utah Hockey Club on Twitter, Broccoli Brandon, right? He was a former Coyotes fan, originally from Arizona, and obviously now in Utah. But there's plenty of guys out there that are like that, right? They just love hockey. They loved the team. It's the same guys that came over, and so it's hard for me to see you have a passion for this team, for the guys that are on there, the way they play. They're just in a different spot, right? Like I said earlier, I'm a big Cale Makar fan. If he leaves the Avs, he could go play for the freaking Dallas Stars. I'm still gonna like him, right? He's one of my favorite players. I understand that it's like getting your heart kind of ripped out because your team is leaving, but it still is the same team. And I've just seen a lot of people who have that same mentality and they still support the team even though they're not in Arizona anymore. And those are the guys that I really appreciate interacting with and are fun. The other guys, they can go pound sand.
I like it. I think I met the Matty is the only one that is still in Arizona that I like. I enjoy talking hockey with that guy.
See the one with like all the emojis after his name?
No, I think it's just, I can't think of his
Like
name.
Matt
It's
Smith
like
or
Matty.
something?
Yeah, I think so. It's not
He's
Matty
awesome.
Ice, I
Great
don't think,
example.
but yeah, he's always caught in between like because he's still friends with like the Arizona haters, but he's still trying to be friends with the Utah. So he's always the mediator, but a good guy. I do like him.
Yeah, great example. There's plenty of fans out there like him that are still just awesome people showing support for the team, and they're just not running their mouths.
I have one question. I don't know if you'll be able to answer as a somebody who attended more games than watched on SEG Media. We've been very high on SEG Media, the product that they put out on SEG Plus, on Utah 16, just bringing the game to the state for everybody. You've got the sold out arena, no blackouts, with the very rare exception of like nationally televised games. And SEG Media has done an incredible job from start to finish. One question though, did you catch any of the Nash cast?
I didn't.
Okay.
No, I like watching the games. I'm a big fan of Nick and Maddie and Dom and those guys that are actually commentating on the game, and I like to watch that. No offense to Austin or Nash, but yeah,
I'll
did
still
not.
ask the question, but phrase it differently. Would you approve of when Spicy Tuna's playing days are over? We are big supporters of getting that man in the broadcast booth because we think his ability to hype is much higher than his ability to contribute to hockey long term. So when he's off the ice, would you support Spicy Tuna staying in Utah, joining the broadcast crew in some way, shape, or form?
I will just come out and say it because I've been very vocal about this on Twitter, and anybody that knows me knows my opinions on O'Brien. I think that is the perfect place for him. I don't really love what he brings to the team currently. Yeah, he's a hype man, but I mean, the guy had as many points as Connor Ingram this season. I think watching him on the broadcast or having him, involved with the fans or something like that during games would be a huge win. I mean, I don't think I've met a guy that can hype up a crowd as well as he can. And I would love to see that. Yeah.
We got so much pushback from other fans saying that he wasn't very good and we don't want him on the team anymore. So I wasn't sure. I had to test the waters first, but
Okay,
yes,
so my
agree.
monologue at the beginning of the show, I went on to say what? I said, Utah fans care about fights. They care about hype. They're there for the show. It's an MMA showing on ice, right? That's exactly the point right there. People come out, they love Liam O'Brien. They love him because he goes out there and he throws punches and he freaking takes people out. And then he also takes himself out of the play and gives up goals. And I don't love it. You watch hockey for the game and the skill and the craft. Yeah, it's fun to see a fight every once in a while, but that's not it. And so, anyway, point proven. That's all I'll say.
Yep. We're in agreement. I think especially if you look at like the modern enforcer, we've talked about this on previous episodes, but like the modern NHL enforcer is no longer the guy where, like the Liam O'Brien, where you're on the ice for 7 minutes and then most of the time you get 10-minute misconducts, like that style of enforcer is out. Now you've got guys like Tom Wilson is the perfect example of this, who will punish you, fight you, but then he'll score on you. He'll make plays on you, and he will contribute in every single way. And he's like, I know he's kind of the like hyperbole example of this, but like he's I think what the prototype for like enforcers are for what people want to model their tough guys around now. And we look at a guy like Jack McBain, who we feel like the worst case scenario of Jack McBain is that he's just a better Liam O'Brien. And then he has tremendous upside. Right?
I hope he gets a good contract too. I think he's worth it. So I
really hope they extend him, man. I'll be so sad if he goes. Our other co-host wants him to go to the Rangers. Well, not wants him, but he's just adamant that the Rangers are going to pick him up. And man, I just want us to re-sign him. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But Brian, before we get into rapid fire, any final comments you want to give? Any shout outs or anything like that before rapid fire?
The only thing I was just going to say on the Jack McBain piece, I don't know if anybody caught this, but during the press conference the other day, Ryan Smith did say that they're basically planning on trying to get that figured out with Jack. So whoever your friend is, you can tell him to suck it because he's not going to the Rangers. He's staying home. But yeah, that's all I got.
So this is the hype. This is the Liam O'Brien hype level of the interview. This is it. This is the money shot of the Fanley Cup series. We're going to ask you 5 questions. You got to give us just the first answer that pops into your head. Are you ready?
Okay. Wow. We'll see. I like to think before I speak, and it still doesn't come out very well. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. First question: top of their game, burger or pizza?
Burger.
All things considered, BYU or the University of Utah?
Absolutely, the University of Utah. Absolutely.
Big spoon or little spoon?
Big. These are easy questions, guys. Come on. What's going on?
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
I'm not going to get into that one. Plead the fifth.
You have to answer.
Yes.
If somebody offered you $1 million to eat 1 pound of flesh from your thigh, would you do it?
No, nothing. No cap. $1 billion. Money's not everything. Nope. The day that I'm no longer able to function for myself, I'm good. Just, take me off. Euthanasia, baby.
A delicacy. A delicacy.
Okay. Remind me never to come back on this pod again.
Wrap it up, guys. We'll just stay in the safety of cameras. Hey, Brian, we've enjoyed having you. Thank you so much for coming on. Why don't you let the fans know where they can find you and follow you?
Yeah, Twitter's it. I am not a social media man besides that. So if you want to follow me, that's your fault. I am going to apologize in advance because I post a lot of weird crap. But that's it. Yeah, I love interacting with people. Love meeting the new guys in the community. So come find me. I'm at the games as often as I can. And it's fun.
If you follow him, you will not regret it, everybody. That's Brian Bolnick at Brian, BOLNICK, Brian Bolnick on Twitter. Brian, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciated it. Appreciate your time. Had a lot of fun tonight. Dustin, thanks so much for your rapid fire questions as always. And guys, the Fanley Cup is continuing. We still have a few more weeks of interviews to go. This one's going to run throughout the postseason of the NHL. Thanks so much for listening. You guys have a good night.
Thanks so much, guys.